Hey there folks, welcome to Spectrum Pulse. We talk about music, movies, art and culture, and this is Billboard Breakdown. You know, there are some weeks where I wonder why I even bother doing my regular album reviews instead of just focusing on Billboard Breakdown. Because in the case of certain albums, especially pop albums, nearly every single song from it's gonna land on the charts at some point, so why do I even bother reviewing it? And this week, not only do we have one of those cases, we also have a song from a previous case of that returning pretty high to the charts from last year. And yet, none of those has ended up being the biggest story this week, mostly because we have a new number one. The first of this artist's career and one riding the wave of a tearful VMA performance to take the very top. And folks, time to dust off those old pitchforks from 2010. Justin Bieber is back, and he's somehow bigger than ever. But before we discuss the quality of that song in detail, let's talk about our top 10 and why What Did You Mean by Justin Bieber managed to get to the top. Quite frankly, it's what a sales rollout should like in the modern era of charting hits, easily topping sales and streaming and surging up airplay, but also a well-timed YouTube release that only got edged out by Taylor Swift. Coupled with the performance at the VMAs, it's no wonder that Justin Bieber took the top for the very first time in his career. Yeah, Baby never got number one, and it was enough to knock back Can't Feel My Face by The Weeknd down to number two, which might have easily held onto the top spot otherwise thanks to strong streaming, sales, gains on YouTube, and an airplay recovery thanks to that album. Of course, the song that again benefited more from the album's release was The Hills by The Weeknd, which rose up to number three, holds onto its streaming position, and surging in sales and airplay. Hell, I predict this song probably lasting longer than Can't Feel My Face as we head into the fall, and honestly, I'm kind of okay with that. All this meant is that Watch Me by Silento finally took a blow down to number four, though that might have been coming anyway with losses in streaming and a dip in sales on YouTube. The larger and more unexpected dip for me come from Cheerleader by Omi dropping down to number five, which took losses pretty much across the board, and I expect it will be exiting the top 10 sooner rather than later. Beneath it, the position losses are probably most attributable to Justin Bieber just leapfrogging everybody, because Lean On by Major Lazer, DJ Snake, and Mew is holding steady across the board, except in sales at number 6. Good For You by Selena Gomez and A$AP Rocky picked up significant airplay to hold its spot at number 7. 679 by Fetty Wap gained even more streaming and sales to hold on to number 8. And Locked Away by Rock City and Adam Levine picked up even more steam thanks to streaming, airplay, and sales to hold on to number 9. And finally, returning to our top 10, we have Where Are You Now by Skrillex, Diplo, and yep, he's back, Justin Bieber, which rode a boost in streaming and sales, albeit weakening airplay, rising up to number 10. Probably won't hold on to the top 10 spot very long, but apparently the resurgence of Justin Bieber was enough to get it there, if only for a short time. Now this takes us to our losers and dropouts, and wow, we got a busy week here. Bitch Better Have My Money by Rihanna, Nasty Freestyle by T-Wayne, Be Real by Kidding featuring DJ Loaf, and finally it's gone, Love Me Like You Do by Ellie Goulding, all exiting the charts, and I really can't complain about any of those losses. Maybe Sangria by Blake Shelton, but if we're taking out Kiss You in the Morning by Michael Ray and One Hell of an Amen by Brantley Giltert along with them, again, not complaining here. And our losses this week is pretty big too. We got the underwhelming debuts like Smoke Break by Carrie Underwood falling to 76, although that might be a case of country music just hemorrhaging gains because it was another rough week there. Real Life by Jake Owen falling to 99, Young and Crazy by Frankie Ballard tumbling down to 90, Lovin' You Easy by the Zac Brown Band hitting 83, and the continuing collapse of Kick the Dust Up by Luke Bryan down to 64, a song that I don't even think Luke Bryan fans like because they didn't even get a music video, which is kind of rare in today's day and age. Beyond that, we got the continued losses of Rotten to the Core from the Descendants soundtrack dropping to 80, Not Fast Enough, and the odd slip-ups from two songs I honestly thought would have had a little bit more of a shelf life. I Don't Like It, I Love It by Flo Rida featuring Robin Thicke and Verdine White, and She's Kinda Hot by 5 Seconds of Summer. I wouldn't say that either song is great, but they're definitely not bad, and to see them suddenly lose momentum like this did catch me off guard a little bit. And on the topic of momentum, we didn't nearly have as many gains, but nearly all of them were big gains. First of all, we have Levels by Nick Jonas picking up steam after its debut to go up to 70, and Love Myself by Haley Steinfeld continuing its rise to 44. I can see this following a very similar path as Fight Song by Rachel Platten over the next couple weeks, mostly because it's a slightly better version of that song, while still not being all that good. But the biggest gains from this week both come from the VMAs, the first being the revival of Shoulda Been Us by Tori Kelly, which might have actually given Tori Kelly some name recognition finally as it rebounded hard to 51. And then there's Macklemore and Ryan Lewis and their arsenal of old school collaborators with Downtown, which rocketed up to 18, breaking into the top 20. And really, I can't see it getting much higher. Probably sticking around where White Walls fell a couple years back. I will say that as much as there have been backlash to Macklemore from the entertainment press and a couple critics, the mainstream public really doesn't seem to care all that much and is still ready to give him some hits, which is kind of interesting to say the least. But our theme of songs getting a boost from the VMAs becomes all the more pronounced as we look at our returning entries, starting with You know, it's kind of interesting that one of Nicki Minaj's bigger stabs at pop music off of the Pink Print has underperformed like this, especially in comparison with her bigger singles like Pills and Potions or Anaconda or Only, at least until you actually listen to the song. I'm sorry, this track just falls completely flat for me. As much as that bass line and pre-chorus leads you to think the song could build to a potent crescendo, that chorus is a complete momentum killer with that incredibly stiff beat. And like so much of that album, there's no color or vibrancy to the instrumentation. Even if we're accepting it's supposed to be desperate or subversive of that whole party atmosphere, it's too limp of a song to really move past that. Overall, it's not bad, but again, I'm not surprised at all that it's underperformed. And here's the big one. Taylor Swift's big fifth single with another big video baiting big controversy. And make no mistake, if it wasn't for that video, it wouldn't have come back this high in the charts, as it originally charted back when 1989 dropped almost a year ago. And we'll get to that video in a second, but about the song itself, it's fairly easy to describe why I liked it last year. This would be what a Lana Del Rey song would sound like if she had, charisma, or energy, or decent songwriting. The gauzy strings, the gentle beat, the ghostly multi-tracking, that muffled elegance with every rough edge dusted away, and lyrics telling this bad boy that she'll be the one who inspires his wildest dreams as he walks away. It's hard not to see this track fitting onto Born to Die pretty easy, except it's markedly better. And yeah, there's a part of me that wishes says she released the genuinely gorgeous and far more interesting Imogen Heap collaboration Clean as her newest single, but okay, we've danced around this video long enough. Now, does it romanticize a certain golden age of Hollywood and its fascination with Africa while ignoring the colonial implications of exoticism that comes with it, and also ignoring all black people? That's a fair criticism. Although I see it less of the patronization that can come with those sort of attitudes that leads to execrable films like The Blind Side or The Help, and more just kind of ignoring of everything outside of Taylor Swift's Hollywood fantasy, which in the video was even presented as a constructed veneer that isn't real. What I find interesting is that the controversy might be signaling a greater backlash at Taylor Swift coming up. After all, you can only stay at the very top for so long before the knives started coming out, even though, yeah, it is a really good song. So on that unsettling implication, let's get our new slice of entries, starting with number 100, In the Night by The Weeknd.
I don't think you understand. In the night when she comes crawling, dollar bills and tears keep falling down her face. She'll never walk away. I don't think you understand.
So to start our onslaught of songs by The Weeknd, there's a lot of them here. I want to point out that I've already reviewed Beauty Behind the Madness and covered the majority of these songs in detail already. As such, I'm going to try to keep some of these discussions fairly brief, not really. So let's start with one of the songs that I actually liked a lot from this album, and unsurprisingly, it's stuck at the very bottom. Basically what I describe as a better version of Can't Feel My Face in terms of its Michael Jackson imitation. In the Night takes a razor-type progression against a hazy synth background to form a mid-80s sound that captures that tightness and marries it to the tight grooves that drive some of The Weeknd's best material, along with all that atmosphere. Hell, even the lyrics tell more of a story here, stepping into the story of a dead-eyed stripper who was abused as a child, and is now left looking for whatever paltry joys left in the hedonism of her life, punctuated by The Weeknd's I don't think you understand. And considering his own bleak hunt for pleasure, he might as well get it better than the average person. In other words, I think this is a damn solid song, and I can only hope it's a hit, even though I kind of think it probably won't be. Number 97, New Americana by Halsey. case I didn't piss all the Halsey fans off with my mini review of Badlands at the end of my Travis Scott review, here's my commentary on her breakout single, New Americana, charting right now. Wow, it's been a while since I've seen a song misfire this badly. Might as well start with the fact that the vocal delivery is trying to slot itself in somewhere between Lorde and Lana Del Rey with way too much effects, losing the poise of the former and the glamour of the latter. And then all the lyrics go right off a cliff as she starts to name check the Rockefellers and James Dean and other symbols of old school wealth and Americana. This isn't new, just the old school with the veneer of class torn back. And yeah, I kind of appreciate the subversion of football hypermasculinity by implying the same-sex marriage there, but outside of that, what system is this song upsetting? It sounds like every other pop song on the radio. The Biggie implication is very telling here, probably is why I always prefer Tupac Shakur more, who at least tried to bring in a little bit more social commentary beyond this blatant glorification of wealth. It's vapidity trying to wrap itself in a cloud-producing chorus with that obnoxious skirt song midway through, and it can't even deliver that, mostly because of an oily, tinkling, percussion-overloaded mix that has no old school class and little actual melody behind it. It's not all that interesting. You want to know what's most telling to me? That Kanye West-esque filter at the end of the chorus. Because, really, what's a better symbol of the new Americana? Except, you know, Kanye's a far better producer. We'll come back to that. And this song can bite me. Next, number 95, Jet Black Heart by 5 Seconds of Summer.
And there's a hurricane underneath it, trying to keep us apart. I ride with a poison pen, but these chemicals moving between us are the reason to start again.
So, what do you know? The first song from the new 5 Seconds of Summer album that doesn't make me think they owe royalties to Green Day or Blink-182. Instead, it reminds me a lot of the mid-2000s pop rock that skirted the edges of emo without ever completely falling in, especially with the self-flagellating chorus with the jet black heart and the poison pen that at least implies that the rebirth of the connection with this girl is making things better. And as someone who didn't exactly mind this sort of material in the mid-2000s, or how much this song reminds me of a Boys Like Girls chord progression, it really is startling to me. I can't think of what song it is, but it does stand out. This song, it's fine enough, I guess. I do wish they'd settle on which of their singers is the main lead, though, because I probably like Michael's deeper tones more than the actual frontman Luke's thinner tenor. As for composition, that guitar lick's not bad, but the mix is still a little bit too muddy for me, especially with the cymbals. It's still a little bit weird that 5 Seconds of Summer might actually become a legit pop rock band on that next album, or at least the standard bearers in the mainstream outside of Fall Out Boy. But then again, I'm not complaining as long as the quality's here, because this is a good song. Number 93, Dark Times by The Weeknd featuring Ed Sheeran.
To the street, promising everything I do not need. In my dark time, baby, this is all I could be. And only my mother can love me for me. In my dark time.
One of the other songs I actually really like from Beauty Behind the Madness, the pairing of The Weeknd and Ed Sheeran does prove surprisingly potent with those smoky guitars, even though I do think more of the misty synthetic elements don't quite fit as well with the guitar lick outside of that cavernous drum kick, especially with the end with the strings and the symphonic elements flooding in. They just don't fit. And yeah, to some extent, it's the sort of track that Hozier could knock out of the park in his sleep better than either of these two, but stepping towards a more organic blues is a good fit for a song exploring Ed Sheeran's alcoholism and whatever bloody atrocity The Weeknd committed. It's really not clear what he did there, and the two actually have good chemistry. I don't know, it's a good song, but I keep thinking that it could have been a lot better. Number 85, Losers by The Weeknd featuring Labrinth.
Don't know already. We make our own sense. You're qualified in me. What can you show me that my heart don't know already? We make our own sense, and you're qualified in me.
The first of our Weeknd songs I didn't immediately like, even despite the usage of his lower range and a pretty sticky piano hook, mostly because I thought that glittering clump of electronic oscillation at the end of the chorus felt strikingly gaudy and out of place to me. Even though I will admit that bridge is pretty damn striking with its multi-tracking, it sounds really good. But as for the lyrics, yeah, a bit of a mixed bag, really. I get the self-reliance castigating an established system that preaches conventional love when The Weeknd is the furthest thing from conventional, but the hook hits a very odd note for me. It sounds like he's demanding this person who he considers qualified show him something, and we never actually get what that thing is. It's just an odd sentiment that throws the otherwise pretty decent song off balance for me. Still, that bridge, absolutely killer, really dug it. Number 79, Shameless by The Weeknd.
I'll always be there for you. I'll always be there for you, girl. I have no shame. I'll always be there for you. I'll always be there for you. I'll always be there for you, girl. I have no shame.
Hey look, it's a section actual guitar on this track, and it's a bitter acoustic track with windswept reverb with a surprising amount of texture and a brittle hint of percussion against the bass-heavy menace, and an actual guitar solo that's pretty awesome. So yeah, I gotta admit, the instrumentation is pretty damn great here, and the Weeknd positioning his brand of sour commentary on the girl continuing to call him, even as she tries to pull her life together, it does kind of work. But man, this song is tough to swallow. I get calling out hypocrisy, but the curdled bitterness on this track makes it a hard one for me to really want to go back to, and I kind of mean that as a compliment. It does kind of work for the mood. It's a good song, but not exactly one I'd want to see you get big, because I could turn on this pretty quickly. Number 77, Roots by Imagine Dragons.
Another door, another high, another low. Rock bottom, rock bottom, rock bottom. I'm going back to my roots. Another day, another door, another high, another low. Rock bottom, rock bottom, rock bottom.
Okay, I'm shocked to see this here. Well, it's because I'm fairly certain that after I covered Smoke and Mirrors and any singles dropped off of the Billboard Hot 100, everybody sort of forgot that Imagine Dragons existed. At least that's what I assumed. I mean, the album certainly didn't get good reviews, and compared to the crushing dominance on the charts like Radioactive or It's Time or Demons had, it was bound to be branded as a sophomore slump. Kind of because it was. As such, this isn't a new single from that album, instead just a standalone track written on the road as a thank you to the fans. And well, if we're looking for an example where the percussion and beats really don't help anything, it'd be here. I'm almost inclined to say it's progressive, as Imagine Dragons piles layers upon layers of choppy beats and distorted drums over a static piano line, but combined with the vocals and lyrics lacking any sort of visceral power to them, I'm left feeling that we're hearing some sort of sloppy, overmixed demo instead of an actual real song. At least when they piled on all the percussion on Bleeding Out, there was some visceral power to that song in the vocals and the lyrics, but this, I'm sorry, it's just a mess, and I'm gonna be honest, a pretty forgettable one too. Number 62, Real Life by The Weeknd. We now return to our regularly scheduled coverage of The Weeknd with a blast of distorted synth horns that honestly sound like they could have been imported from a mutated version of Run Away With Me by Carly Rae Jepsen. But after that, this track descends into bombastic strings, piano flourishes, a hand clap beat, revving guitars, and a chorus that I honestly wish had a little bit more vocal intensity to it. But then again, this is a song about pushing away people in love because of your own bad tendencies and habits. So in a certain way, that chorus of this song is its own self-fulfilling prophecy. But beyond that, I did kind of dig the acoustic guitar in the outro, and overall, it's a pretty good track. Unlike, say, number 60, Acquainted by The Weeknd. Easily my least favorite song from Beauty from the Madness, mostly because that skittering synth swell feels way too grainy to balance well against that popping, stuttering beat, but mostly because The Weeknd is in half-ass crooner mode, easily his least interesting persona with way too much reverb. But really, the lyrics are where this song falls short for me, especially on the chorus, for as much as he's trying to deflect against the sensuality, the line of, "Girl, I'm so glad we're acquainted," is just so stuffy and pompous. I don't buy it for a second that The Weeknd would say that. He completely kills the vibe for me with its awkward stiffness, which interestingly is the exact same complaint I have with Earned It, his song from 50 Shades of Grey. But yeah, not feeling this whatsoever. I'd skip it. Number 57, Tell Your Friends by The Weeknd.
Go tell your friends about it. About it. Go tell them what you know, what you seen, how I roll. Go tell your friends about it. Go tell your friends about it. I'm that nigga with the hair singing about popping pills hoes, fucking bitches, living life so true.
So remember how I said earlier that I was going to be talking about Kanye West's production at some point? Well, he handled some of the production on this song, and honestly, I'm not sure how well it fits. A little bit more soulful to be sure, and I dug the guitars, but it doesn't really match the much cleaner fidelity of The Weeknd's multi-track vocals and the more ghostly effects, especially in the second half. And again, I don't love his half-rap, half-song delivery, even though that hook is actually really solid. I liked it. What redeems the song for me is the lyrics, where The Weeknd returns to Toronto, reflects upon the dark and debauched days of his come-up, and now the dark parallel of while he used to avoid girls because of his bad lifestyle in the past, he's now being told to avoid them to avoid gold diggers, advice that he's already taken many times over and is really advice he doesn't want to take. I do think this song runs a little bit long and could have afforded to dig a little bit deeper into that lyrical parallel, but again, track's not bad. I guess I could take it. Number 47, Prisoner by The Weeknd featuring Lana Del Rey. Now there's a match made in heaven. The Weeknd, a self-flagellating disaster who indulges empty hedonism and exploits people with no humor or enjoyment in it all. And Lana Del Rey, the sort of woman who would willingly let herself get exploited and even relish some of the experience. And the pairing of the two gives Lana Del Rey her best song since video games. Although that's really not saying much here, given the atonal buzzing blur of the instrumentation against the low, slow rollick of the beat, and The Weeknd's gentle crooning that Lana then plays with even less passion. And while I don't mind the melody here, I can't help but feel like I'm watching a couple get married for all of the wrong reasons, when you know they're just gonna end up hating each other, making lives miserable for everybody else around them. In other words, it's not bad, but I don't see myself revisiting it anytime soon. And finally, our new number one, What Do You Mean by Justin Bieber.
Said you're running out of time, what do you mean? Oh, 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 what do you mean? Better make up your mind, what do you mean?
And this is the big one, the newest single from the much-loved, much-hated Justin Bieber, as a lead-off song for his upcoming 4th album, and honestly, kind of ambivalent on it. The beat does have a decent rollicking clip to it, and the melody isn't terrible, but the pan flutes, they're so thin they've got to be fake, and that does get distracting. He could probably afford real instruments at this point, so why didn't he? And the lyrics oddly remind me of his 2010 junk single Eenie Meenie with Sean Kingston, although they are less juvenile as Justin Bieber tries to play earnest and decipher what this girl means through a series of broad contradictory actions. And I do appreciate that Justin Bieber doesn't take any steps to force a decision from this girl or play it with more anger instead of confusion, but really that's more because of Justin Bieber's performance on the song is so limp and lifeless to me. His vocals sound more faded than usual and lacking in punch than ever. It just becomes remarkably easy just to tune him this song out. Just kind of indifferent to this track, to be honest. Not a lot here. And that was our long week, and man, lots from The Weeknd here. So I think it's appropriate that he's represented both on the best and the worst. In the former case, snagging Best of the Week for In the Night with Wildest Dreams by Taylor Swift taking the honorable mention. For the song, folks, not the video. As for the worst, Acquainted by The Weeknd easily takes the dishonorable mention, but he's getting edged out for the very bottom by New Americana by Halsey by being the monumental miscalculation and tuneless annoyance that it is. It'd definitely be interesting to see how many of these Weeknd songs last another week and what replaces them, that's for damn sure. But until then, I'm Mark, you're watching Billboard Breakdown on Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.